Welcome to the December 12th, 2024 meeting of the Decatur Architecture Review Board. I will call roll with each commission member answering present. Ellis Chenault.
Present.
Barbara Kelly.
Present.
Patrick Rascal.
Present.
Michael Rogers is not here tonight. I am Jacob Woods, the board chair, and we have a quorum present. Dr. Swope is the city's preservation specialist. Thank you to everyone who is attending today. Your involvement in this commission's proceedings is vital to the effectiveness of this process. There is a copy of the agenda out front if you would like one. Historic district designation means your neighborhood has been recognized by the United States government, the state of Alabama, and the city of Decatur as being architecturally or historically significant to our community. Historic districts are not created to prevent changes, but rather to ensure that the proposed changes are appropriate to the individual property and the districts as a whole. The board's responsibility is to review the appropriateness of all proposed changes. Each historical resource within the district is assessed on its own individual merits. What is appropriate for one property may not be appropriate for another based on resource age, location, neighboring properties, and stylistic details. The Architecture Review Board's rulings are based on written standards and regulations that guide our review and decision making. These guidelines and the Commission's decisions have the force of city ordinance. You can access our guidelines along with application forms on the city's website. Our hearing process is as follows. Staff will present the applications. When they read your name and property address, please be prepared to come to the podium. Staff will present the application and staff assessment of each request. When staff is finished presenting the application item, the applicant and/or designated representative will then state their name and address and provide any additional information or comments regarding that application item. The board may ask clarifying questions of the applicant at this time. Next, we will hear any public comments on that particular application item only. After public comment has closed, the chair will entertain a motion and the board will discuss and dispense of that application item. Staff will then proceed to the next application item and so forth. An approved certificate of appropriateness, or COA, will be issued in the form of an email that's copied both the applicant and the building department approximately 1 week after this hearing. The document will outline and reaffirm what was approved and that the project has been approved. A COA must be issued before a building permit can be obtained. If any changes to your project are anticipated after the COA is issued, it is the responsibility of the homeowner to contact staff, and she will help guide you. In some cases, you may be required to submit the changes for review and issuance of a new COA. If your project is denied and you are not issued a COA, you'll be issued a letter stating the reason for denial and additional information. Denied COAs will be sent via certified mail to the property owner's address filed with the Morgan County Revenue Commissioner's Office. You may resubmit an application with revised plans at a future meeting. There is an appeal process for a denied COA as well, which is spelled out in the municipal ordinance under section 1825 and 1892. After all applications are heard, the commission will entertain general comments from the public, limited to 3 minutes per individual. All right, the first item of business tonight is the approval of our minutes from the November 14, 2024 meeting.
Move they be approved as submitted.
Second that.
Second. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Next item of business are expedited COAs since the November.
Late month because we're in the holiday system. It's time of year.
We had 3 come into the system, 648 Johnston, which is replace roofing, 615 Oak, which is repair rotting rear deck in kind, and 601 Lion Street, which is repairing rotting wood on gable of house and some siding on auxiliary shed in kind.
Any comments or discussion on these? Next item is or new COAs.
1018 Sherman, this is Mr. Stokes. Here is the house in the Albany district. The owner's been in front of the ARB and has worked with staff on a number of COAs for this property. This is one where a fence was installed without a COA, and that does require one. So we have it in front of the board. So it's a retroactive COA for the fence. The rear fence is to be 6 foot tall, and since it's built, you can see it. Wood with a trellis over the alley gate. You don't see that quite as well here. It's sort of back in here. The fence connecting with the neighbor to the east is different. So this is Mr. Stokes' fence here. This is his neighbor's fence here. This is all in the backyard and is not visible from the street. The front of the house, he had to replace a rotting portion here, which is you can't really see it from the street, but this portion here is his neighbor's. This portion here is Mr. Stokes. And again, you can see it's barely visible from the street. And typically, I review fences that are in the rear, but the board had requested that all horizontal fences, regardless of location, come in front of them, and so that's why this one is here. Design review standards, 16, fences and walls, 16.5, new fences should be compatible with associated building site and streetscape and height, proportion, scale, material, and design. 16.6, fences at backyards should begin no further forward than at half the depth of the principal structure, including the porch. 16.9, contemporary or utility fence materials are not appropriate for fences in the public view. Staff assessment, the rear fence is not visible from the public view. The commission has allowed horizontal wood fencing in rear yards that are not visible from the sidewalk in prior COAs. The side fence to the east, which is that little teeny piece right here, appears to meet the standards for 6 foot tall setbacks. And the design, while one that has not been approved before, is barely visible from the public access.
Mr. Stokes?
Yes.
Good afternoon.
How are you?
Doing well. How about you? Thank you.
Any comments?
Where is this visible from the alley?
Yeah, you go through the alley, it would be, yeah. But we do not consider alley public right away unless a house is on a corner and you have sort of an unusual
You can see it.
corridor.
Yeah.
But this one, no, it's not one that would be considered right away.
I think from my end, the heights matches what's approved by the guidelines. And I looked at page 73 in the guidelines, and it talks about inappropriate fence designs of being horizontal rails, solid and chain link, if it's visible. And because this is not, then I feel like it's something that could be allowed.
Yeah, we had about 4 different fences back there. The main one being, I considered it, the style was it was falling down. So they had to remove all that to get all the concrete in and gravel for the new garage and carport, which you can see the carport part there. And we wanted something that looked nice on either side, not have a pretty side and an ugly side, what have you, because that's where we're parking and coming in every day. So
that fence faces the alley.
yes, yes.
That's what I thought, but
Yeah, without plan view, it's kind of hard to tell where it is.
yeah. Well, I'd like to make a motion to approve it as constructed.
Okay. Do I have a second?
I'd like to second that motion.
Can we put a caveat on it? Approve it, but is there any way to word it where it's not setting a precedent for other fences like that?
No, because that's assumed with each individual COA. I mean, it's already what is allowed when it's not visible from public view. It goes through a different review process, so you approving this doesn't mean necessarily that it would be approved again.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Proceed.
When we can't see it, I guess it kind of gets into paint color, we're not really there to judge the style.
Yeah, but I guess
It's not visible.
my thought is it is visible going down the alley, and somebody went down the alley and go, oh, well, they've got it over there. I can do it over here, and then you're going to have it pop up here.
They still have to go through a review process, and they're still held to the same standards. So we have another one of these that's in someone's rear yard, but it's not visible.
Not visible.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we've got one house with AstroTurf in the backyard. It's not visible from the front.
Not visible from the front. Okay.
So I got a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next is 409 Oak with this Bridges. This is a driveway fill in Old Decatur. So here is the house location. There was a prior COA for this 2 years ago. It was 2 owners ago, so it was not the present owner, for a ribbon driveway. It was approved in absence of a quorum by the HPC. That owner put in the ribbon driveway, but he didn't finish the landscaping. It was supposed to have monkey grass between the 2 ribbons. Then the house was sold, then it was sold again, so now we have a new owner. Work had started to fill the driveway and make it wider and expand the apron beyond the curb cut, and that's when staff met the contractors on site and told them there was no COA to approve this process yet. So the action that is requested is, and this is the original COA that was approved 2 years ago in absence of a quorum. So the action requested is to fill the ribbon driveway in completely in the center, and then to fill on each side as well. And you can see the site prep had already started, so the cuts have been made to widen it. So it really gives you a good visual so you can see what's being asked for. And to also widen, and you can see it here, all the way out. So it widens the throat, but it doesn't, the curb cut gets wider, but it's not accessible. It's just putting a brick border around the curb cut because tires would still be on this portion of the throat. Field measurements of the excavated dirt on each side show the widened driveway itself at about 13 feet 3 inches, with throat measurements after it's widened coming in at about 14 feet 11 inches. Design review standards, 19, parking driveways and sidewalks, 19.3, design off-street parking to be unobtrusively located in rear of side yard. Parking areas placed directly in front of a primary dwelling are not appropriate for the overlay districts. This house, when the prior owner had come in requesting, there is no alley access because there's a swimming pool. So there is, and that's why he had originally asked for a driveway in front. 19.4, minimize the width of driveways to the extent possible. Driveway width should be limited to width of 1 car. When staff assessment, when the design review standards were level set and updated with community input in 2003, the community strongly indicated that front yard parking pads were inappropriate and asked for the commission to clarify the standards and enforce them more consistently. That is a detail of excavation of the curb cut. This is one that is down the street from the property owner that she saw, which is why she thought she could do the same thing at her house. This is one of the rare double driveways in the district with a shared garage. We don't have very many of them left. This brick, this house we've approved multiple COAs on. This brick was already extant. We do not know when it was filled in. It was under quite a bit of dirt. They literally had to pull all the bricks up and reset them because over the years it had just sort of crumpled down in there. But almost all of the brick on here was the original brick on site. It was just trying to level it. As you can see, the other half of that driveway was never bricked in. It's just an unusual, odd driveway. And because of the age of this one, if there is a COA, I have nothing on file because it would have been decades ago that this work occurred, possibly before the district was formed. And so then this is a picture showing the overall cuts again.
The owner representative.
So I'm sorry, major faux pas in me starting work without getting prior approval, so I do apologize for that up front. I do want a clarification, though. The intent is not to widen the driveway. The intent was just to have a walkway because as soon as I get out of the vehicle, I'm standing in mud, and I have to dress up for work, and I have to go to work every day, and it's just really, it's awful. I need to have like 2 pairs of shoes. I need to have a pair of tennis shoes to wear to get into my vehicle, and then another pair of shoes to change into. So that was, the original intent was just trying to figure out a way to get in and out of the vehicle without the mud. And then the neighbors had the nice little paver thing, so I thought it was okay. So that was kind of what got us here.
So further clarification, when we bought the house, we asked a ton of questions, and shame on us for not going to the website and reading to the detail. But when we asked the questions, it was essentially, hey, as long as you don't touch the house like trying to add a garage, you can do whatever you want to do, which obviously is not the case, and we've learned a lot since coming just to this one single meeting. So it wasn't like we were just playing dumb. We legitimately were kind of giving some bad information.
So thank you for your
Just
consideration.
For clarification, did you get that from the realtor, the listing?
Yes.
They were sent a postcard the minute it went on the market outlining the QR code, how to access the data, and then it was in the district with full design review and when the meetings occurred. All listing agents are sent that within the city. So I'm sorry that that information did not.
It's okay.
There's also a document given out at closing by all the closing attorneys in the city that goes over
We even looked up the website. We just unfortunately took his word on landscaping type things and shouldn't have.
Anything we can see from the front street driving by is pretty much
Sure.
either has to be approved by staff or.
We absolutely understand that now.
Actually, for clarification, even things in the rear, but there's far more flexibility in the
Yeah,
rear.
well,
Yeah.
Yeah, true. Any comments?
What are your future plans from the end of the current ribbon driveway to your fence?
Sir, that is a great question. It almost dips down a bit in where the ribbon driveway ends and where the fence begins. We don't know what will be appropriate for that position.
Originally, we had planned to see if the ribbon could be extended and then the entire side of the house have the same matching type pavers, have a flower bed along that entire side of the house. Definitely would have to have some dirt brought in because it's very uneven right now.
I think they went into it with kind of a half-cooked plan originally when they did the first ribbon driveway. They should have done a little bit more dirt excavation before they did the ribbon driveway. So now we're in the situation where it's almost like a trough drainage thing right there approaching the fence. So
We've been trying to get grass to grow, and because of that tree, it's just shaded almost all the time, and so it just turns into mud.
That will allow you to have a lot of weeds, but grass?
yes, sir.
Depends on the grass.
Well, that's true. That's true.
Our intent is not to widen it to have a double driveway where there could be 2 cars beside each other. That's not the intent at all. The intent was just to have the walkway to get in and out of the car. Filling in the center was just because nothing else would grow there and it would look aesthetically pleasing to have the same pavers in the center.
So the 2 excavated areas on the right and left of the ribbon are for landscape?
No, sir, that's for the pavers.
That's for the brick pavers.
Okay.
It was going to be,
I misunderstood then.
we had to measure it, it was like 16 inches worth of brick pavers that were going to go on both sides.
And they are salvaged pavers. I don't know if that helps my case at all, but they are from the old Lucky's building, so they are at least, you know, some uniqueness to Decatur.
Could you clarify? I want to make sure I have it in my notes because I'm doing, so I've got the grass, challenge of the grass growing, wanting to walk on it. The pavers are salvaged, and I may have missed it while I was writing the reason for widening the throat.
Just for it to look the same as the pavers on the outside.
Trying to make it flow.
You might consider mondo grass. It will grow in the shade, and it's, you know, very tight and might solve your wet feet problem.
Okay.
Well, I mean, also with it excavated like that, you can put the proper soil in there to get the grass to grow. On the side, I know Emerald Georgia, I've got it in shade and it does do it.
What exposure is that going toward, I mean, is that north?
It's north this way,
Oh.
south that way.
Oh, well, that should get enough sun for, I'd put zoysia sod down.
It should grow.
And,
It should.
yeah, because you've got a good exposure. It's under that tree. It's not limbed down. I mean, it's not, it looks like it's not shading it too much from the,
It could be the soil, but it just, everything raining.
Yeah, with the sod, you're gonna get a thick bed of grass that's got the roots, and you shouldn't have any mud with this original. I mean, it's like a grass carpet once it fills in. In the center, you could do the same thing, or you could do mondo. I mean, some people dress it up a little bit more in the center portion.
And on the sides, really, that ribbon really wasn't thick enough for today's cars, or wide enough for today's cars. As soon as you step out of the car, you're not stepping out onto the concrete, you're stepping out onto grass, mud, whatever's there.
That's the way the ribbons are made.
Oh, yeah.
That's the historic part of it, and that's kind of the hard part. 'Cause a lot of these driveways, we've allowed them to get a little wider, but they were made for the old Model Ts and the smaller vehicles, and that's kind of the way they work. And the driveways are limited. Now, I know you can see a lot of them that are filled in. You see brick, you see different things, and a lot of things happened before the district was formed, and we came up with the guidelines. But I'm going to have a hard time with the brick myself. I'm going to have to say grass is going to have to go back in there. And one reason is for the guidelines too. It's a big thing for the people in the neighborhood when these were rewritten, that this was a key thing they wanted to see was fewer driveways going in, fewer expanses of concrete. So that's just my comments on this one. I really feel like it needs to remain some grass of some kind. Now, the ribbon driveway can be extended like you're talking about. It could be flower beds as you get further back if you wanted that.
So we could extend the ribbon driveway to the fence, but we are not approved for the pavers to go on each side of the ribbon driveway, even if we did the grass in the center of the ribbon?
Correct.
Okay.
And there's a diagram on page 78 in the guidelines. I don't know if you guys have looked at that, but you can kind of see what is approved.
Okay.
Where you have the ribbons that go all the way back to the garage, and then they have one that once it gets back a certain portion of the house, then you could have more of a parking pad once you get further back on the property.
So further back, towards the fence?
Yeah, but if you want to come up and look at that, you can kind of see what,
That
by
one's,
example.
that one's going through a portico share, which is kind of like a carport.
But you can see as it gets further back to the house, and you don't have that expanse of concrete in the front.
The two white boards that are just to the right of the right
Yes, sir.
drive, is that for a pad to go to the front
That's
of the
where
house?
it was going to be well, not really a pad, but that's going to be a spot where the flower bed stopped and then start of the lighting of the flower beds on the front, which was, I think, a follow-on.
Yeah, and staff should clarify on this. When she did the COA, she put two separate things in there. One was for the brick pavers on this. The other was to edge a flower bed. Staff can administratively approve edging the flower bed, so we're gonna split that COA off, and I can administratively approve that after this one is addressed. But I just don't have the authority to approve this one. So you can ignore the flower bed portion, because I can handle that one administratively.
So, correct me if I'm wrong, from the end of the current ribbon driveway, from there to the fence could be, for lack of a better word, a parking pad? It could be all concrete or?
No, they'd have to extend that ribbon probably further back to get it back.
To the middle of the house?
Yeah, more towards the rear of the house, then they could have, I don't know what your backyard looks like, I don't know how much room you have.
There's
They
a
have
pool.
So they can't go beyond the fence.
We can't go beyond the
No,
fence.
that's why the original COA stopped there. They were gonna do landscaping between the edge of the driveway and the gate, and they didn't. They just sold the house, so you have a lot of dirt there right now. But there is a pool in the backyard.
It's probably 30 or 40 feet from where the ribbon stops to where the fence is.
I don't know, you may have enough. I'd have to see the layout to see how far back behind the house that goes before you could.
There's no room behind the fence to do anything.
The the white boards there that we talked about earlier, is that at the side of the house, corner of the house?
Yes, sir.
So that's
The first board you see is at the very corner, the second board
Is
a
few
towards
feet
the end
back
of
from
the
that.
ribbon or whatever.
You're saying from the end of that ribbon to the fence is like 40 feet?
Guesstimate.
I can pull up Street View if you'd like to see it.
Yeah.
So this is from 2022. This is when the driveway, they were actually excavating it. So if you look here, you can see right now the driveway probably ends about where that, I don't know if that's a stone or piece of concrete. So but there's not enough space between where it ends now to add a parking pad, and that's what the
It's about 30 or 40 feet. I bet it's 30 feet. at least.
30 or 40 feet
Till you get to the fence.
from right here to the fence?
From where it ends to where you get to the fence.
You mean from the
ribbon.
sidewalk to the fence?
No. Where the ribbon ends.
Maybe
If that ribbon
20
didn't go much
20 or
past
30
the side of the
feet.
house, they didn't take it much further past the side. Because you can see those boards and where that board is, the corner of the house, the first board.
The back of the house, the back corner of the house,
The front,
the front.
the front corner.
Yeah,
yes, ma'am.
yeah.
The-
Where is that spot? Yeah, that's what I'm getting at.
What is the rule about where the ribbon can end?
He was just saying substantially.
There are no parking pads in the front, they're supposed to be in the rear.
When you say rear, is that behind the?
Behind the house.
Behind the house.
It's 20 feet of the ribbon extended.
It's the best image we've gotten. It's so grainy, it's not real helpful, but you can see the pool
That
that
is
takes up the entire backyard.
And then for the fence,
Can you bring that closer?
brick, or whatever they want to.
Looks like the fence going up somewhere.
Is there a little L shape at the back corner of the house?
Yes, sir.
Where is the fence in relation to that?
At the end of the L.
At the end of the L.
So it's probably coming out right there at the,
I think he's saying it's coming out right here. 'Cause it looks like it used to come closer to the street, and it's been moved back to the corner of the house, if that's what you're saying. Come take a look at this for a second. Where is that fence in relation to?
there's a gable that comes out here. Is it on the front side of the gable or the back side of the gable?
It's right there at the.
Okay,
Front
front
side.
side, right, okay.
And then on here, this first board is at the very front corner of the house. I mean, I'm guessing it's 6 or 7 feet where that second board is, something like that. The ribbon barrier doesn't go very deep into the back side of the house.
And can just have it. I almost need a little
And
bit
it
of
drops.
layout. I almost need a little layout or some kind of,
There's a pretty significant little drop off to get down.
I think I can decide on that tonight.
Yeah. The only other thought that I had is, are stepping stones allowed in the front landscape?
Hardscape is reviewed.
I'm just thinking how far back on that side elevation could you get before you created something that allowed you to pull, you extend the ribbon where you can pull further into the property
And then have the pavement.
some kind of surface that, but you put the brick down far enough back, but not run it down the ribbon. You know what I'm,
So you're asking for a site plan that shows what happens if that fence is removed and allows.
so, no, just a site plan of what your plan is. If you took a plan of the house and said, hey, we want to extend this driveway to this point, and then put a little pad where, hey, if it's 10 feet, I can pull my car up enough that at least on the driver's side, I can get in and out. But it's far enough back that it's not really visible from the street.
Okay.
Does that make sense? But if you could come back with a plan of what that might look like, then I'd be
Sure.
able to review that.
Sure.
And if we need to meet or go out and look at it, I can do that too.
Is this something that you want staff to have the ability to approve, or is it going to have to come back in front of the full board in January?
It depends on how far back it is off I mean, I can't say without
Okay.
making a site visit. I could make a site visit with staff and we can determine that from a site visit whether it needs to come back.
Okay.
Is that possible?
What are you doing tomorrow morning?
I'm not doing anything tomorrow morning.
Do we have to be present?
No.
Okay.
No, we can reach it easily. So do you want to go take a look at it tomorrow morning? I can put them on the agenda for January, and then I can let them know tomorrow what might be approvable, might be maybe possible.
Sure.
We appreciate that.
Okay, so Ruth, would this be a table?
No, I think we can go ahead and vote on this one.
Yeah, we vote on this
Okay.
one, and then they can come forward with another one, or if there's something else that can,
Okay.
like you can approve, I guess.
Okay.
And we'll take it on, something that needs to come before the board, then I'll come back for a new one for January, but otherwise, then maybe it's something.
Okay.
Just make a motion that allows, I guess, you and Jacob to determine if it's new staff approved.
Yeah, is there a way we can do it where it's approved contingent, because that's a muddy mess right now going into the winter? Like, no, I mean,
No, they have to approve the way it's written, or then they'll have to come back with another plan, unless they get a plan today, that's kind of the problem.
it's another month, at least.
So let's go ahead and make a motion on this one. Do I have a motion on this particular issue?
Let me just, and I know I'm being hard-headed, but I'm just trying to figure out the best way to do that. There's no way we can say that it's vote on it and deny it, but then show that it could be approved by these two if they go out there tomorrow morning and say, hey, if you do ABC, run with it. Can we, there's no way to do that?
Depends on whether we, I don't know if we allow that in the past, but something that generally has to be approved by the board, then it's not.
Yeah, it has to be approved by the board. So even if it was something the board would approve, I legally do not have the authority to approve it, even if you would approve it if it was in front of you.
Okay.
So it has to come back regardless.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was going to trust you two to do
If they had another
it.
plan in place that would be able to be approved today, that would be fine, but since we don't know distances or measurements, it's kind of hard to say it can be extended this far, and y'all approve that, and Caroline should approve
would still have to be a plan or something to either submitted to Carolina or us to be approved.
Sure.
Okay.
There's no drawings, there's no plans to look at. Generally, if they do that, there's generally a plan where they can say, oh, you're allowed to go this far and a lot of parameters. It's just that doesn't exist, so we're just basing it on a lot of unknown,
Okay.
unfortunately.
Okay, all right. I'm with you.
Well, get this further, and I will approve, I will make a motion to approve.
Do I have a second? All those in favor? Opposed? Okay, we'll meet with you guys tomorrow.
Yeah, let me look, so, and we need to give a deadline for the new one or fixing this, which is standard, so give me a second, let me look at my calendar and see what tomorrow looks like, so I know what time.
And I know y'all understand what that was, but we had to deny the first one,
Right.
and now you can come back with the second one.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Jacob, can you meet first thing at 8 tomorrow morning? I have at 9 o'clock, but I could do 8, so that I can have something sent to her by noon.
When do we owe it back to you?
That's the next part of this,
Okay.
once I figure out.
I can do 8.
You can do 8, okay.
I can do 7.
All right, I will meet you there. Y'all don't have to be there. I mean, we're fine. We can stand on the sidewalk and see it. So we need a motion now that says at what point there has to be a new COA for this or to have the site work landscaped by such and such date. We normally do 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. We
Now,
just
you
need
guys want to get this
to be
done
clear.
quickly. Correct. I'll make a motion that a new COA be submitted within 30 days, or the landscape will be repaired back to the guidelines.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Okay. So I will meet with him tomorrow morning at 8. And then I will send you an email that outlines like what they found, what the measurements, what they think things might be feasible. If there's more than one option, I'll sort of lay out everything they come up with.
Sure.
And then you can circle back with me, and I'm happy to come out and make another site visit if you want me there with you to sort of walk through it.
Thank you.
Figure it out.
Thank you. I appreciate the time.
All right, thank you.
The last one on here was the carport with Mr. Davis. He was supposed to be here. I'm not sure why he's not. This is the one that in October, the board reviewed, and the choices were either to remove the unauthorized carport or to come back with a plan to screen it. He came back with his plan, but he's not here to discuss it. So if the board wants to table this until next month, what would you like to do?
Can we make a decision on it with him not being here?
Both? No, it's one where, it's,
If they don't vote on it, it's something.
no, they can table it. They can table it. But if you want to review it without, I can answer questions as best I can, but I'm not.
We can't vote on it, correct?
I'm sorry, what?
Or you can't do any voting on the actual COA?
You can vote on it. It's just,
It's his choice whether he was here or not.
It's his
If you wanna
choice.
table it to allow him, if there's some, I don't know.
I can check my email and see if anything came in from him. I had actually asked him for more data on the COA because I'd asked where the fence gates would go because you can't landscape in front of the fence gates, but he never responded, and I'm looking, I don't have any emails from him in the system right now. So, if you want, you can table it with,
Discussion, do you guys want to go ahead and review it?
I'm fine with reviewing.
yeah.
This one was problematic when it was first brought in with it being,
So,
This was the one that was determined to be seen from the street.
yeah.
It
Yes.
was
So-
denied, but we gave him the opportunity
to bring it
gave
back
him-
in.
We go back.
So then am I hearing correctly that you want to go ahead and review it then?
I think,
Okay.
is that correct?
Yeah, I'm fine with that. If
Okay,
everyone else-
well, I will present as best I can then on this one. So, yes, in October, this one was in front of the board. It was an unauthorized, this is the front of the house, metal carport that was installed. The COA was denied, and the owner was given until November 27th to either remove the carport or return to the commission with a COA that would bring the carport into compliance. And so the applicant, the board did not see this one. Originally, he was going to side the carport, and that was the COA he sent me. And then we reached back and said, you know, I conferred with Jacob on it, and it was like, well, the carport's structurally not designed to have that occur, and you still have the blue roof showing, which was kind of the issue. When he last met with the board's suggestion was to move the carport further back on the lot or to just remove it entirely. So then this application, and it was to add a privacy fence. So everything in green would be the privacy fence. This is the carport here. And as you recall, this is the alley here, which means this has more of a public right-of-way than it might ordinarily because there is this public alley here. So when you stand on the street, there's a very wide view of this. So the question that I had asked him was where, if the carport is facing where the gable end is here, does that mean the gate to get in is here, which means this would be opened? Which means you can't have privacy landscaping here because this is the way the car would go in. I did not get a response, so I don't know where the gate would be. But he's not proposed moving the carport, so I don't see where else the gate could be. The design was for a dog-eared fence, which is what you see here. Those are typically approved for rear yards. It's 6 foot high. The design review standards for the fence, fence meets design review standards for a fence, but the application hinges on the requested fence sufficiently mitigating a blue metal roofed carport by making it not readily visible. The carport is approximately 6.4 inches high on the lowest portions of the roof and 8.8 inches high at the peak of the roof. So if that blue roof is 8.8 inches high and the fence stops at 6 feet, that's the differential, which is why I had asked him about the gate and if there was going to be any additional screening. The 22.10 new carport should be located at the rear of dwellings and not readily visible. Prefabricated metal carport designs are not appropriate if visible from primary vantage points. And he did send in a picture of this carport here that's within the district that he was aware of. And he is correct, that one is there. It has been there more than a decade. It predates my time. It predates the prior commission assistant's time. We don't know when this one went in, other than it clearly has been there a long time. It could predate the district for all I know. I could not get any more data on it. I did look. The only other carport that has been reviewed that's metal since I've been here was one on the corner of Canal and King, maybe? And that one, the commission went into the legal system to have that one removed because it was highly visible. It was on the side of the house. So the board needs to determine if the proposed fence sufficiently shields the blue roofed carport from view. And if it does, you would approve it. If you feel it doesn't, then you would say that this application does not meet the required parameters from the October meeting, at which point it would be denied, I assume. I don't think there's anything. Ruth, did I miss anything on that?
That's what I was just, I don't think it's ever said anything that they have to be present. It's just a matter of when they
Yeah.
file it in, it's for submission for y'all to review. That's their decision. If they're here or not. I mean, on other boards, a lot of times they'll table it if possible so the person can be here. But that's, you know, your all's prerogative as the board. It was before you today, notice was sent.
I mean, the fence clearly doesn't shield the carport at all. If it's,
No.
if the lower end of the carport's 6.4 and the fence is 6, then obviously you're seeing the entire blue roof, which is, you know,
think-
not allowed in the district.
Yeah, the October meeting, we gave them the option to move the carport so it's hidden, replace with more appropriate, or remove altogether. Those were the three choices.
And if I understood your diagram correctly, that there's no way you can come in the side of that carport.
No.
So it would
No,
have
I
to be in
requested
front.
additional information on that, but if the carport, he's showing it in the same location, and if it's in the
Yeah.
same location front facing, the gate would have to be
there.
here. But I did not get a response with that question. Because the alley is right here.
I mean, we had a similar storage unit that had a metal roof and made them put a shingle roof on it.
Mhm.
And allowed, because the other materials we couldn't see, they were blocked.
Is
So
that,
if it had a different roof on it, I'd be okay with it because I didn't see the structure.
I was just about to ask if you
Replace
could
that.
put that, anything over there.
Not the way those are made, they're just not strong enough structure.
And that was one of the things Jacob brought up when he talked about siding it, was that at that point, it becomes an airlift danger. It's like literally not designed to be a solid building. It would have to be anchored into the ground. It would have to be structurally sound. It would probably have to go to the building department for review, and it wasn't designed for that, because it's designed to be just a simple metal carport.
And he didn't offer an option of moving it?
No.
Okay.
And you get notice that it's 7 days prior to the
He submitted,
Okay, so if you're anything, it just says that
yeah.
applications for certificates of appropriateness shall be considered by the Commission of Public Meetings to be held monthly. The date, time, and location of such public meetings shall be determined by the Commission's Rules of Operating Procedure. At least 7 days prior to review of the certificate of appropriateness, the Commission shall take such action as may reasonably be required to inform the owners of any property likely to be affected by reason of the application. Shall give applicant and such owners an opportunity to be heard in cases where the Commission deems it necessary to hold a public hearing concerning the application. So he's been given the opportunity to be heard, and he's just not. So that's the code provision.
I'm okay with voting on this one tonight. Does anybody else have any comments?
No. That's all it said.
Oh, I'm fine with it.
Well, I make a motion to approve the fencing on this project.
Second.
All those in favor? Opposed?
Okay, we'll send out a letter and give him, we need to give an end date on what needs to be removed. Do we give the standard, it's the holidays, so do
Do
you
we
want
need to
to?
give him a time frame for removing this?
That's what I was just asking, and since it's the holidays, do you want to do 2 months?
We'll give him 60 days.
60 days, okay.
Are you giving him the ability to, amend it, amend the COA, or?
No, I mean, not for this particular structure. If he wants to put a new one in where the materials match the house, more than have to resubmit a COA that shows us that design.
What about if he chooses to move it where it's not visible?
That was already on.
That was already.
So that's one of his options, or is that canceled out?
No, that's still one.
It's still an option.
I mean, as long as it's available for him to, he could have done that without a COA, correct?
No, it was
No,
leased.
but we gave him.
Okay, that's what was given on the last.
That's what they gave him as an option.
I would go ahead and do a motion, setting that date and then down separately, the date for him to comply and/or any other action that you believe would be sufficient. So that way he's knowing, because he's not here, whatever it is, when Carolyn sends in the letter, that's what's going to be.
But if you say move out of view, that's going to open a can of worms in whose view, how much view, where they stand, what they see.
I'll make a motion for the carport to be removed or relocated out of view within 60 days.
The question on that is to be moved out of view.
Out of.
There is no way to move it out of view currently. That's what I'm
So did we
asking.
just say removal then?
What did y'all allow him to do that on the earlier one? If he moved,
It was-
is it going to be allowed?
There was discussion of could he rotate it and move it behind.
Move the carport to where it is hidden on the lot
But there's,
from the front view.
for him to move it, I think the carport is longer. We never got a plan back in, but on site, it looks like the carport is longer than the length of the back of the house, so it's still gonna be shown.
Can you pull that diagram back up?
Throws the blue up.
You see where, like if it's,
So he shows the carport right here.
He didn't want
That's
to do
like
it
dotted
because the
line.
concrete was already there.
oh, okay.
You can tuck it up behind the house if you want to.
Or a different material
He needs to change the material.
could be used.
Well, that's a new carport.
Yes.
So since see, this is the challenge with doing this when he's not here, because we can't, I need something very crisp and clean that I need to submit to him.
Well, I mean, the fence is not approved because it doesn't meet the standard.
Okay.
If he wants to come back with a new, he's got to come back with something else. Question is, how long do we want to leave the carport sitting there?
At this time of year, probably 60 days, 90 days.
I mean, 60 to take it out, and then you have to come back with a new design in 30 if he wants to keep something or do something different. If he doesn't come with anything back, then it's just removed.
Does the alley just go down the side or does it go behind as well?
No, it just goes down the side.
Just down the side.
Okay, so I have a motion from Jacob, but I don't have a second yet, and the motion is to remove within 60 days from today or
So provide a new design.
provide a new design within 30 days.
Or fence or carport?
No, so there's no fence option whatsoever.
Okay.
Ah, here we go. We are discussing your carport right now. Just in time.
Sorry.
They have questions.
Yes.
We got here a little late, we already made a motion to deny the fence, just because the fence is 6.
That was approved.
Hmm?
That motion was already.
Yeah, that's what he was saying.
Oh, I
that
thought
we-
we-
To
I
deny.
thought you just talked about the motion, okay. I thought we.
No, I was talking about the fence itself, and just to give a background, the fence is 6 feet tall, and the carport is...
The peak of it is 8 feet.
8 foot 8, is that right?
No, it's 8 foot.
8 foot, yeah, 8 foot 8, 8.8. So our problem is we still have a blue metal roof that's showing,
Okay.
and the metal roof is a material that's not compliant or appropriate for the area.
All right, a couple of questions then on that. What if we made it an 8-foot fence and there is metal on the house across the street from us on the covering that comes out over their garage?
The 8-foot fence does not meet the guidelines.
Okay.
That one doesn't. So you're in a hard spot there. Oh,
Yeah, because we drove around the neighborhood since the last meeting, and there are metal carports in that neighborhood.
Yeah, I don't know what happened in the past. Like, we don't really go hunt around and find everybody that's in violation. Some things came in before we were a board, before we had commission. So I don't know anything about that particular one that you found.
Yeah, well, there's
But the new
3.
things, you know, as we go forward, we can only deal with what's in front of us. So we're looking at this particular house in your situation, and that's.
Okay. So I can't do, can I still do a 6-foot fence? Because I mean, we're wanting to put a fence.
The fence is not a problem.
Okay, that's one thing if I can,
But the fence is not a
Okay.
problem, but the carport cannot.
okay, you're saying.
Unless you get the carport designed with a material that's more compliant with the house.
Well, that's what I had submitted first, was to go back and take the carport and do the sides in the same material that the house is made out of, so that it would match to the house. Now, the question would be, though, you're saying it would still be the metal roof. Yeah, because there's, again, I know you can't go back, and I don't know how long these things were, but like the house right next to us it's a taller structure, and it has a metal roof. And I just kind of don't see the fairness that there is one there, but I can't have a metal roof unless you say it's because it's blue, but it actually matches the color of the house right behind us.
No, it's not the color.
Okay, it's a metal, yeah. Well, so I've got a metal roof behind me. The young lady that's redoing the house on the corner, she has I don't know if it's a garage or it's going to be a building, but she has just sheet metal on a portion of her roof. And I know that's recent. But let's I don't want to take up your time, and I'm sorry I'm late. The fence is approved, right?
Well, we'll have to
We'll have to
revisit that.
readjust that.
Okay.
I was assuming the fence, with you not being here, we were assuming the fence was just there to block the carport. So
Well-
the fence itself is fine at 6 feet in the dog ear.
Yeah.
There's not a problem.
Yeah, still wanted a fence in the backyard. Like I said, the long-range goal was that that carport would be temporary, but we want a fence in the backyard because we want to have some privacy.
So we have no problem with the fence, but it does not solve the problem that was brought about in the October meeting.
Right.
So we would have to redo the motion and vote that we did earlier, disapproving the fence, and then do another one to approve it.
Well, let's focus on the carport before we get back to the fence.
Gotcha.
Okay, question on-
Forward with that.
Because that's what the COA was.
Right.
It was for the fence, but it was in relation to fixing the carport.
Right, one of the examples, or the response that we got from y'all said to look at a fence or shrubbery or something to minimize the impact of the carport. And I felt like a 6-foot and the carport being an 8-foot pitch, that minimized it. Now, we didn't say you had to hide it.
It does for the
Legs.
legs, but not the roof. So it's the materials of the whole, it's the whole.
Okay, so I'm back to,
So in other words, we've had a storage building on another project where it had a metal roof, and some of the materials below you couldn't see, but they had to change their roof to a shingled roof to match, to be more appropriate because you could see it because the fence didn't hide it.
okay, let me propose two things to you, and we'll go. If we did the fence, and I just had shingles on the roof, put shingles on the roof, would that meet y'all's approval then?
I don't know if you can put that on that building.
Let's say, I think that I could, based on the weight, I think, that was proposed for the carport, but I'd like that to be option one. If I can't, weight-wise, which I understand, I certainly don't want it falling on the car, which is why we're trying to get it off the road, is to protect the car and to keep the limbs from the neighbor's trees not falling on the
Can you pull up the
car.
carport again?
Picture of it, you have a picture of it?
What do you want to see?
Carport again. There we go.
Can
What
I-
was the second thing you were going to?
Oh, was if you guys just are dead set against it, I can I go to the picture here? All right. And it would take me some time. I'd have to get some time from you guys. But I can take that carport and I can hire the people that put the anchors in and everything, and we can just switch it back to where it's not here, it's back here behind the house. And even at that, then with my 6-foot fence, you're not going to see it.
So that would be, I've got the map up. So the carport here, you would take it and turn it and put it back here.
I take it, okay, this is, yeah, because there used to be a fence right here, and we took it down. It was a chain link, 3.5-foot fence. And we just put the carport there because there was an existing cement pad. And it didn't make sense to go pour another pad. And,
Sure.
okay. But you would pivot this around this way.
Because there's another structure in that back corner, isn't there? In the back of the yard?
Back over here.
Yeah, so you can't go all the way out of sight. I think it'll still be partially visible from this angle. Just making sure everybody understands that.
Yep. And forgive me, this is not to scale. Because we looked at it, and with it pivoting, trying to think how I could take a picture of something to illustrate, or maybe go back and draw this to scale for you, but we had, like I said, looked at putting this back here because you wouldn't see it.
And I'm so sorry, but will you put back up the picture that shows the chain link fence? Yeah, so is that a neighboring house right there, or is that?
That's the backside of the yard used to be a chain link fence. Matter of fact, I've got a picture, I don't know if you took it, but there's another chain link fence over here between Kim and our house.
So is any part of your backyard storage building that's currently there showing in that picture?
No, well, that's it right there.
That little, yeah, so the carport would be this side of that, correct?
Yes, but going this way. And with the fence there and the 8-foot point, I just don't see that you would see it.
And I'm just trying to get it straight in my head.
Yeah.
Where the white part is, that is part of your building?
This is part of a tool shed because
So when
when
you're
this
talking-
fence was here, there was a one of those
Right.
plastic tool sheds.
So if you're taking the carport and you're
From
tilting
that
90
angle,
degrees,
from this angle, yes, it looks like you're still going to see it, but I'm saying if you take a picture from the road, you're not.
yeah, but let me
Yeah, go ahead.
finish up there. If you
Yeah.
take it, you tilt it 90 degrees, and this is it right now. You tilt it 90 degrees. Does this back part go past where that white building is, or does it start where that white building is?
It corners to the white building. We would have a walkway in between them,
Okay.
okay?
Yeah, you would still
Because we looked at doing that.
see it, but if you had a 6-foot fence, if he rotates that 90, all you're seeing is the roof at that point.
And some sort of landscaping would.
Well, that was another thing I thought about, was putting a trellis. I mean, if we put the fence in, I like the garden, but, could put in a trellis and put in a yellow jasmine or Confederate jasmine that grows and stays green year-round, and you wouldn't see the roof. I don't mean to make this complicated.
It shows where the house is on the street, the aerial view.
Yeah, that was the other car, one of the carports.
There it is. There. The one right above it. Yes, perfect.
Because actually, I guess, I don't know who owns this property right in here. I don't know if it's 326 or not, because if you actually had a house here, I don't think you'd see the carport at all. Matter of fact, they have one of these pods in their driveway right here. And I thought about going over there and asking them to move the pod to that other property if they owned it, and then you wouldn't see the thing except for the alleyway.
So if it were, your storage building is not showing on this, correct?
If this is a property, the storage building is here, and the carport would be here.
Okay.
And if you want to table it, if you're not sure, I could meet with Ms. Swoop out there one day next week, or one of y'all, and walk off and show you where it would be if we pivoted it.
I think I understand. Yeah, it's hard to tell without a plan. I do
Yeah.
think it's still going to be visible from the street, so we'd have to figure out how to mitigate that, whether that's by the 6-foot fence and some landscape, or,
So then my question on this, if it is, to make sure I have it in the notes, if the carport is rotated and moved, which then means, if I'm correct, the gate to access the carport is right here, which means you could do some landscaping here,
yeah,
which would then,
help mitigate it.
because that was brought up last time, but if the access was from here, then obviously you couldn't landscape. But if the gate is going here, that allows the ability to put in some landscaping here.
Yes.
So do you need a plan? Does he need to come back to you if it is moving it, putting in the 6-foot fence and putting in some sort of landscaping that we agree on now? Would that be something that you could approve now?
Well, I think the plan with a gate, I think he needs to have a plan.
Just something to scale that really shows where.
Shows where the gate is, shows where the fence is, shows where the carport's gonna be.
Yeah, because originally, I mean, it kind of made sense that the gate would have to be here. But if we rotate it, and like you say, put a 6-foot fence and put some kind of shrubbery on either side of that went up, then yeah, the gate would be out here.
If this is something we agree upon, this is something you and I could plan, we could review.
I'll meet with you guys any
I trust
time next week.
you two to, if we set it up like you're talking about with it being rotated, placed in an appropriate spot, and a landscape plan provided, if you two look at it and say, yeah, that's,
To be staff verified and chair verified, and if we can't verify it, then it comes back to the board. Okay, so I need a motion that addresses all that. You're the last person that spoke. I think that means you're.
you'll have to help me out with the verbiage, but I make a motion that we, approve it, is that what I'm saying?
So
Or-
that the motion is you're requesting
A new
a
plan.
new plan.
Hold on, real quick. Do we need to cancel our previous vote?
No, that would need to just say denied, and then you can do a new motion
Okay.
for him to bring a plan, give a date by which the plan has to be brought, what the thing needs to be removed, or however Caroline thinks is best for that side of it. That's not mine.
Okay.
If I could add one thing, in all this, can I at least get the fence approved if it's a 6-foot
Then-
fence?
That's what we were discussing.
Okay, all right,
Yeah.
all right.
So for a new application that shows a site plan
To scale
To scale.
scaled,
with the gate
moving the
location.
garage to the new location, the fence, the location of fence gate, and screening on the street side of the
landscape.
fence.
Perfect.
And that when all of those are submitted, that the chair and staff can work through verification of that.
And if it's,
And if verification cannot be proven, it has to come back.
Has to come back.
Full commission.
Okay.
otherwise good to go based on you two.
All right, I have all that in my notes. So I think that was Patrick's motion. Do we have a
Do you
second?
have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye. And we need
Aye.
a date. We need a motion with a date on this because we forgot to add one in there. So all of this needs to occur. We do have the holidays upon us
60
within
days.
60 days.
That way I can get it drawn to scale. too.
Okay, so I need a motion on either this comes into review within 60 days or the carport is removed
Within 60 days.
within 60 days. So who's
So I
making?
make a motion that within 60 days, that a plan has been, a design has been submitted for review, or the carport is removed.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, I think that's clear. Do you need Mr. Woods or I to make a site visit to work through this with you, sir?
I'm sorry.
Do you need Mr. Woods or myself to come out for a site visit to work through this with you?
If you don't mind, I don't want to interfere with the holidays. Because I actually had something else cross my mind. I won't bring it up, waste any more time, but yeah, I wouldn't mind.
All right, then I'll reach out via email and we'll set something up for next week sometime.
Sure.
Okay.
Yes, we can schedule it for next week. I've got a couple of classes next week, so we'll work around it.
Okay. All right.
He's just got really exposed to you.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Well, and that's what I was wondering about. If I rotated that, we still want to put the fence in because we want the privacy back there. But when you were talking about the shrubbery, I don't know who all's in the landscaping. We were talking here, but if this rotates back, I could have shrubbery on the side of it. That would be,
It could be on the front side of the fence, it could be on the back side of the fence. I'm not
or
sure.
by the carport, as long
Yeah,
as
as
it's,
long as it's.
Yeah.
We can work through that in a site visit.
yeah.
I'll make sure that he brings a tape measure.
Oh, I've got one, believe me.
Okay.
I just didn't draw, I'm not an engineer and I didn't draw it to to scale.
All right.
I'm glad you made it here.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Okay, then I've got one more update to give you. The COA applications, we have a digital
Is
system.
there a question and answer period? I did have
Have you got another question?
I was just going to ask, the temporary pods, how long are they able to stay in there? 'Cause I know she's
There is
taking-
nothing in our design review guidelines or ordinance that addresses that. So they are considered temporary, and because we don't track them when they come in,
Yeah.
we can't really address an end date on them
Okay,
at this point.
all right.
The COA application have been online with a full online submittal for the last 4 months. It has been glitching, so we've had people submitting and it hasn't been making it to me. Sometimes they know, sometimes they don't know. I've been working with the IT department to remedy that, so if you hear people mentioning anything, we are aware that there is a challenge right now, and information technology is trying to fix it with the vendor that supplies the service.
Technology's great when it works.
You're having stuff that's not making it to you.
Yes, I'm having stuff that's not making it to me, so people email me and then I'm sending out hard copies. And some stuff does, so it's sporadic. They haven't quite nailed down what the challenge is. And some stuff does, but it might take a couple days to show. So it's hard to figure out what the challenge is because some make it, some don't. Some make it, but they're delayed. Some go through instantly. It's the same platform that Streets uses for recycling and garbage cans, like other departments use this platform too. So there's some sort of a glitch they're working through. All right, that is it.
Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to
Second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.